Welcome everybody to Ant on Music. Whether you're a record collector, crate digger, or just a music lover, this is the place to be. If you've seen my shows before, you know that I get into a couple of albums every week, talk to you about them, tell you what I dig in my collection and the stuff that I'm collecting. Still doing some talk about what I got for Christmas. Got one thing that, or actually a couple of things I got for Christmas, courtesy of my family. They're awesome. And also something that's kind of rare, one of the rarities in my collection from way back when I used to work in radio. But before we get into all that, please, as I always ask you politely, down below, hit that subscribe button, join the colony. Want to grow this the best we can. If you know anybody that would be interested in talks like this, shows like this, let them know as well. Always want more people here checking out what I've got to share with you. Love sharing my collection with everybody. Also, click like, drop a comment. I will get back to you. Love the conversations that I have with the people that do tune in week to week. It's awesome. So let's have at it. First thing we're going to take a look at is something a little bit on the heavier side. For Christmas, I was out shopping for family and, of course, ended up shopping for myself. Picked this one up. I have it on CD, didn't have it on vinyl. It's a great album. Of course, it's got it kicks off with The More. It also has one of my favorite tracks that Opeth has ever done. This is the album Still Life, which is still, used in concert constantly, is Face of Melinda. Hoping that they get around to putting something new out this year. It's been kind of quiet from their camp for the past couple of years since COVID. Michael Ockerfeldt, lead singer, guitarist, and main writing guy. Basically, the dude is Opeth. He was busy. He scored a soundtrack to a television show. But on this album, you have Moonlapse Vertigo, you have, as I said, Face of Melinda, White Cluster. It's a great album, top to bottom. I believe this is their fourth album. As far as the album's concerned, you've got the cover here, the back with the tracks, gatefold with some liner notes, and a small picture of the band down here. The albums themselves, the sleeves are very nice in this edition. Basic black albums, nothing spectacular there, but have some additional artwork here as well on both of the platters here and the lyrics. So that's a cool album to pick up if you've never listened to Opeth. This one is earlier in their career, so there's more of that the death metal growling if you dig that. I'm more of a fan of their clean vocals, but this album has some really great instrumental passages, and as always, if you've listened to Opeth, a lot of their acoustic passages are just incredible. They're phenomenal musicians. They definitely, over the course of time, even though they've had multiple members come and go, they've been consistently a fantastic band musically, and as they've moved more towards the clean vocals, I've liked them more and more. Next album, another Opeth album. This was actually a gift from my darling daughter. Okay, this one is a music on vinyl edition. This is Opeth Watershed. So you have this album. Basically, we'll take a look at the innards. You have the artwork here on the gatefold. On the back, you've got a lovely picture of Jorge or George, depending upon how you want to pronounce it, but it's Jorge. And inside this album, this was another one that this was basic black as well, heavy duty vinyl. Sounds fantastic. You also have a little art booklet here with the liner notes. No lyrics given with this one. So you've got that as well. And of course, the inside of that 4-panel. Okay. And as a bonus, if you love Jorge, you have Jorge. And who couldn't love Jorge? I mean, come on. Let's give it up for the man. In addition to that, you get a larger picture of the band right there with Michael front and center, of course. Watershed is a fantastic album. This was really where I got into Opeth. I had a friend of my wife's tried getting me into them, and at the time I wasn't really attuned to like the whole, as I call them, Cookie Monster vocals. But this album really won me over, and then since then, I've stuck with them, and I actually went back and I've been collecting all the albums. I have everything they've ever released on CD, and I've been picking them up as I've found them out, crate digging and whatever. Found them out in out in the wild, so to speak. I've been buying them, and even the older albums, even though I'm not really thrilled with that Cookie Monster vocal style, I've come accustomed to it. There's enough clean vocals usually there to make me happy. This one is fantastic. I mean, Heir Apparent is on this album. Hessian Peel, love that song. Hex Omega, which is fantastic, which is about witches. It's just a fantastic album, top to bottom. The Lotus Eater, another classic track from Opeth. I've managed to see them live a couple of times. They're fantastic live. If you ever get the opportunity, go out and check them out live. Really phenomenal band. Of course, there's always the tie-in with them to Steven Wilson. Mike and Steven seem to work well together. Steven's produced their album, and they actually had Storm Corrosion together. So enough about Opeth. Totally changed gears. Coming back to the States for the remainder of this little episode of mine, and this is one that's a limited edition. This is Glenn Danzig. This one is the Skeletons album, which, if the cover seems vaguely familiar in an odd sort of way, it's because it's basically a cover of the cover of David Bowie's Pinups, which was an album of David Bowie doing covers. And this is Glenn doing what he does best. Lord of the Thighs is on here. Rough Boy, With a Girl Like You. Smithereens tune, Crying in the Rain, Find Somebody, Let Yourself Go, NIB, which is of course the Black Sabbath tune. And we'll take a look at this. This is limited edition of 1700. I found this one while I was out crate digging. So got Glenn there, and obviously a model, which I'm sure if she stood up would be a lot taller than Glenn, but we won't talk about that. Back cover, another picture of Glenn. Inside, a picture of the happy couple right there. And you have, liner notes here. Some more artwork there with a skeleton of a cat. Keeping with the theme of skeletons. And the vinyl itself is pretty cool looking. It's kind of like, I guess you would say, an amoeba, an amorphous blob there. So Glenn Danzig Skeletons with the purple, and I guess you would call that teal. It's a cool album, kind of a little bit rough sounding in places, but beats the hell out of his attempt at the Elvis covers album, which he did. Not really going to say too much more about that. I did do a show way back when I was working in clubs with Glenn, and this was on their first tour. They were out supporting the Danzig album, and of course Mother had just broken big at the time, and to put it mildly, he was very adamant about the way he wanted things to sound, and was definitely one of the two longest sound checks I ever sat through for any musical artist that I ever worked alongside or or with in any sort of way. I think our sound guy lost quite a bit of hair that evening, but at the end of the day, they did sound great live on that very first tour, and it's something that I'll always remember. They absolutely crushed it live, and the band that's out there now is phenomenal as well. You've got Johnny Kelly does drums for them from Typo Negative, and he's just an awesome human being and a phenomenal drummer. Sticking with things from the New York, New Jersey area, we're going to talk about another Christmas gift I got. But before we get into that, a little bit of something rare in my collection. It made me want to, pull this out of the collection just to show you guys. Another one from my radio days. Talking about New York's very own Kiss, okay? This is a promo EP. Basically, this has 8 tracks on it, and it's the lineup of Singer, Kulick, Simmons, and Stanley. And, it's limited collector's edition, as it says here. That's not a sticker. It's actually printed on the album. On the back, not for sale, promo only. Not easy to come by. Got this when I used to work in radio. And, of course, you got Simmons and Stanley on the labels because that's who matters, right? If you're a Kiss fan, you know that they rule the roost. As far as the album goes, it's pretty basic. There's really nothing inside. It's just a plain white paper sleeve. But, the track listing is pretty cool. Love's a Slap in the Face, Betrayed, Prisoner of Love, The Streets Giveth and the Streets Take It Away, Nowhere to Run, Partners in Crime, Deuce, and Strutter, and those last 3 are all live. Liner notes are on the back, pretty simple, but, one of the rarer things in my collection and definitely one of the rarest things I have from Kiss. And speaking of them, this is not a flashback to last Christmas of 2022. This is, what I got for Christmas 2023, one of the bigger box sets. For some reason, back when this came out, I didn't get it. And I realized, wow, I never picked up the Creatures of the Night box set during the end of 2022 into 2023. So I asked Santa Claus for it. And of course, Mrs. Santa Claus, my wife, was nice enough to pick this up for me. And that is the Creatures of the Night box set. And this thing is a monster. All right. It's got 5 CDs and a Blu-ray audio disc in there and a whole lot of goodies. This is the cover that was originally released because at the time, technically, Ace Frehley was still in the band, but he wasn't really playing. This is where Vinnie Vincent really made his debut with the band, and he lit it up. I mean, he was phenomenal on it, and of course, you got the phenomenal Eric Singer, who I love. Rest in peace, Eric. If you want to hear the Eric Carr story, you go back to an earlier episode where I show off the Eric Carr Record Store Day albums that have been put out, and I tell you the Eric Carr story from when I worked in radio and I interviewed him. We're not going to rehash that, but this came with, on top of the music, it came with a ton of goodies in here. So there's the box itself. Got the hype sticker right here, and it's 103 total tracks, 75 unreleased. You have the original album right here, right, with the original cover. Later releases, it had this cover, which, no makeup and with Vinny on the cover as opposed to Ace. Ace had already exited stage left at that point, so you had that. And the other stuff you have in here, this book that it comes with, it looks like a studio tape from Sterling Sound. And in here, all right, you have a whole lot of, talk of the build-up for the album. You have some great, photos, alternate covers of stuff. Pictures of the singles, the labels from the singles, and it's really well written. This is before they took off the makeup, and they really had a hit on their hands with this album. This really revived them. You had Keep Me Coming, Danger, War Machine, one of the best tracks. I Still Love You, and I Love It Loud, which is another favorite of mine. And Kiss, one thing about Kiss is they're always good with giving you lots of goodies when they do something. So you have this little booklet here with, artist rendering. There's Vinnie Vincent with his makeup. It's the Egyptian Ankh symbol there. Of course, you've got Eric Carr, the Fox, the Demon, Gene Simmons, and the Star Child, Paul Stanley. You have a copy of Gotham Rock City News, little thing that they put in here. It's like a mock-up of a newspaper. Pretty light print. definitely when you reach my age, you want to break out your glasses when you read this one. And, you know, pretty cool to have that. They also, there's more. Of course, there's more because this is Kiss. And, you know, everything with Kiss is done bigger than everybody else. That's always been their go-to is, you know, outdoing everybody. You have basically the 10th anniversary tour, okay? You know, mock-up of the tour book that came along with this. Actually, I didn't get, it's funny, I've seen Kiss numerous times, and I dragged my wife to see Kiss. I think it was 3 times in 10 days when we first started dating, and yet she still married me. Back on the Psycho Circus tour, but I didn't get to see Kiss till, God, the early, I'd say the late 80s, early 90s, somehow, even though I was a fan since I was like a kid, since I was like in 3rd, 4th grade, didn't get an opportunity to see them. So you have, this is, you know, a replica of the tour book from that time, and it's pretty neat. Got some great photos in here of the band, you know, in action, and you know, it's pretty neat. There you go, great shot of the band. Of course, Kiss Army on the back. But wait, there's more. There's always more. So, a little bag of pics here from everybody in the band. Let's open this up, take a look at this real quick. I have another thing of Kiss pics somewhere in the house one day, probably when we do the new Ace album when it comes out. We'll take a look at that. So of course you got the classic Kiss logo, you know, names on the back. You know, and you've got, you know, 5 of them. If I can get these all in my grubby little fingers. So you have all that. You want to close up on that. There we go. Let's turn this so you can take a look. So pretty neat. And they also included, you know, for those of us of a certain age, all right, that were big into hard rock and heavy metal, of course you have to have your battle vest or, you know, denim jacket covered in patches. And they have one here from Creatures of the Night. Very cool to have as well. Tons and tons of just, you know, memorabilia they've thrown in here. And let's get this unfolded. All right, you got Ace in the promo material here, and what Ace looked like at this point in time. You got some, basically these are like a little bigger than postcard size. You know, you got Ace and Eric right there. Of course, Gene, this was at the time when he was doing some acting, so the hair was a little different than what you're probably accustomed to. And Paul as well. Looks like everyone in for, you know, went in for the for a haircut at that point. Then you have, you know, replica patch if you were to go backstage, you know, for the anniversary tour. You've got more and more stuff. You know, replica ticket. Also, bumper sticker right here. And I believe this is an iron-on patch. Yeah, it's like I said, they definitely gave you a lot of stuff to go by, and more stuff as well. Vinny with the makeup, Eric again, and of course Paul, Gene, and a photo of the band with Ace. All right, so you got that as well. This thing just, you know, this is like the gift that keeps on giving, this little folder here. Got another poster here as well. The loudest band in the world, Kiss. I'm sure that Lemmy and Motorhead would challenge them to that, as will the Scorpions. Scorpions, by my account, I've seen, you know, Scorps, and I've seen Motorhead live. For me, the loudest that I've ever heard was definitely the Scorpions. I'm pretty much convinced that they were trying to have people go deaf. I saw them at an outdoor venue. Saw them a few times. Saw them with Motley Crue. Saw them at Jones Beach, and it was an outdoor venue, obviously Jones Beach, amphitheater here in New York, and it was really like it was loud to the point where it was painful, and it almost looked like Schenker was taking joy in watching everybody like wince in pain as he cranked up the volume. But more about the Scorps another day. Except I do want to mention, rest in peace to James Kotak. He did drum for the Scorps. Passed away this week, so rest in peace to him. Mock-up of the stage design for this tour. Another mock-up as well. And more. Another picture of the band there, another mini poster. And you have some info on the band here, talking about the 10-year anniversary of the band here. They definitely were revitalized by this album. And yet, there's still more. This is like the box set that keeps on giving. You've got some buttons, or as they call them over in the UK, some badges here of each of the individual band members. Hard to see through the plastic, but Gene, Paul, and Eric and Vinny in there. Not actually them, but buttons of them. And then you've got the album. I already showed you the main album here, and you've got bonus live stuff as well, and demos. The CDs are pretty basic to look at. I mean, if you've seen a CD, you've seen a CD. It's that simple. So you have that. You have an alternate cover on the album here with more demos and live stuff, and the Blu-rays as well. So you have everything you'd ever want regarding this album. It is a pretty well-made box set. Not cheap. Definitely not on the low end of things. Obviously, if they were going to put this out on vinyl, it would be massive. But they put it out on CD. This is the way it came. I love it. I love it loud. And it really is fantastic. If you're a Kiss fan, definitely pick it up if you haven't already. I know it's over a year old, but I just got it, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection. As I alluded to earlier, we're gonna have take a look at the New Age Freely album when that comes out. I hope to wrap up everything that I got from last year by next week. If I went all day talking about stuff I've picked up since the end of the year, I'd probably go on for an hour. And who the hell is going to sit and listen to anybody talk for an hour? I know I'm not. But once again, thank you for stopping by. Thanks for checking me out. I really hope you enjoyed spending time with me. Like I said, click like, click subscribe, drop a comment, share it with someone that you might know that might dig this stuff. Like I said, I love spending time with you all and sharing my collection with you. And that's pretty much it for this week. So as always, peace, one love, music. Have a great week. I'm out.